talk about tariffs for a minute. In recent days, President Trump has threatened to raise India's tariff rate substantially over its continued purchase of oil from Russia. He has negotiated a trade deal with the EU, which is about a 15% tariff on all goods. And he continues to shift the tariff rates around and the application dates, it seems like on a weekly basis, as they continue to try to renegotiate trade deals. But the legality of those tariffs is still making its way through the court system. This is what President Trump refers to as the big case. And the outcome of these court decisions could have a huge impact on the budget and how big a hole there is in the actual budget. It's actually Congress, the legislative branch, that has the power to set tariffs, not the president. So to get all of these tariffs imposed, President Trump is using the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, which gives the president the authority to address unusual and extraordinary threats during national emergencies. So his justification for imposing the tariffs is that the trade imbalance, declining manufacturing power of the United States, and cross-border flow of drugs justify his use of these emergency powers. A dozen U.S. states and 5 small businesses sued the Trump administration to block the tariffs. But the Trump administration appealed, and the U.S. Court of Appeals heard their initial arguments last Thursday. Questioning by the judges on the U.S. Court of Appeals made it seem like they think President Trump's use of these emergency powers is very questionable. But they didn't issue a ruling from the bench, and a final decision isn't expected until September. If the U.S. Court of Appeals rules against the Trump administration, they still have one appeal left. They can appeal to the Supreme Court. But what will happen if President Trump loses at the Supreme Court level as well? Well, first of all, the White House has some other mechanisms it can use to impose tariffs, such as a 1962 law that allows the president to impose tariffs against imports that threaten national security. And this is the power that he used to put higher tariffs on aluminum and steel. And those tariffs will still stand. They're not subject to this current litigation. Some people also think that the bilateral trade agreements that President Trump is signing now will still be enforceable, even if the Supreme Court rules against him. So he's putting these trade deals in place, and if the Supreme Court rules that his tariff was unconstitutional, this trade agreement will still have force. Remember, the tariffs are not paid by the other countries. The tariffs are paid by U.S. importers. And those U.S. importers most likely will try to seek a refund of their tariffs that they paid if the Supreme Court rules against them.